after a period of time, I began to realize this is not leadership. My goal isn't to make people happy. I'm not a clown, I'm a leader. My goal is to help people. And all of a sudden I realized when you help people, they're not always happy. And so my responsibility is to help you, not satisfy you.
Hi, I'm Chris Godey. I don't know about you, but I know that I love to absorb content. There's so much free content out there. However, one challenge that I do have is that I often struggle to then take that content and put it into practice. I don't change the habits that I need to based off of the video that I've been inspired by. If that's you, I want you to watch this video, and then I would love for you to comment, and we would love to hear your thoughts below.
Let me tell you a mistake I made when I was a young leader, and I would listen to a podcast like this, or I would go to a conference by myself. And then I would come back and try to convince the team how wonderful this was. And all of a sudden it hit me. It took me 3 or 4 years before it hit me, so I was a little slow at it. But all of a sudden I realized if I would expose them to what I'm being exposed to at the same time, 2 things happen. One is we can immediately discuss what we're learning and growing. And the second thing is they can begin to have ownership of it. And so what I would greatly suggest to you is the fact that you need to involve them as quickly as you can into your new thinking, into your ideas, bring them together and say, let's talk about something I'm thinking about. And what I teach my team is this. When I bring you a good idea, I expect when we're done with the conversation to have a better idea, because collaboration is an incredible way to increase great ideas. In fact, a great idea isn't born out of a vacuum. It's where we get together. If you have a good idea and I have a good idea, and then someone else has a good idea, all of a sudden those good ideas have potential of having a great idea. And if I share something with you that I've learned and you share something with me that you've learned, all of a sudden we've learned more already. So I think that the mistake we make is sometimes as leaders, we hold on to our ideas, our thoughts too long for ourselves, and don't throw them out to the team early enough. And when I throw them out to the team, I'm just saying, look, this is not the end thought. This isn't even the greatest thought, but it is a good thought. And let's see what we can do with this idea, and let's see if we can make it better. And there's a lot of ownership that comes in when people get to be part of the process.
Imagine this. So imagine I'm a young leader, or I'm starting my leadership, and I care about people. And I've got a team of 4, 5, 6, 7 people, and they know I care. And then I see more and I see before, and so I get out ahead of them and we cast vision and we grow together something special. Now I've got 70 people, and then one day 700. How do you communicate care to those people when there's too many? You may not even know all their names.
Yes. Well, first of all, Andy Stanley, our friend, says do for one what you wish you could do for many.
Right.
And I think that's a terrific principle in itself. But what I have always felt is this. I think unconditional love can be for everyone, but I don't think you can give everyone equal time. Mm-hmm. And so I share with my people, you don't have to earn my love. I give that to you unconditionally, but you do have to earn my time. And so there is where I began to distinguish the people that I want to develop and that I want them to move further, is by saying, the way that I will give you that time is for you to show me that you are paying the price for it, that you're up for it. It's John Wooden who would tell his ball players, "Don't tell me what you're going to do, show me what you're going to do." Mm-hmm. And so the moment I start going out in front, it's basically who's going to show me they want to be out front with me. And if you come out front with me, then you're going to have a little bit more of my time. And so I think caring for people is for everyone, but I think as far as leading and developing people, that's for someone. I think not everyone wants that kind of development, and not everyone works for that kind of development. So I think you have to be real clear. It's kind of like upfront expectations. I think that's what's important in leadership is that when somebody comes to get in the game, before you put them in the game, you say, let's have just a good, honest conversation. For example, Mark Cole, who runs all of our companies, one of the things I sat down with him years ago, and I said, there are a few things I want you to tell every person that joins our company. And one of those things, Greg, is we will have tough conversations. Mm-hmm. And I love telling them that when we hire them. Because when you hire them, they say, "Oh, whoopee, I got a job. Yay, we're in." And it's kind of like a high water mark for them. And I love that. At that moment, I like to also say, while you're feeling good and while there's been no problems, there will be problems. Mm-hmm. And I just want you to understand right now so that when we have that tough conversation, you'll say, well, he isn't picking on me or am I? No. This is the way this works here. And I just think that the upfront conversations is my willingness to be close to you.
Right.
But it's also my ability to share with you that there is a leadership part of my life that is always going to cause me to confront, to push, to pull, to prod. In fact, I tell people all the time, the good ones, I say, I care enough for you to confront you.
Yes.
And I think we sometimes get a little Disneylandish on confrontation. It's like, he doesn't like me. No. In fact, he likes you so much or she likes you so much, they're confronting you.
No, I like that so much too, because especially, you're the leader of your organization. And if someone is close enough and cares about you enough, you make a mistake, the fact that they come and tell you is a gift. It is a gift. And you have to work really hard to help people confront up. And also some people are afraid to correct their team members. And so I think, like you said, if clarity is kind, if you can say, hey, when I'm coaching you, it's because I believe in you. If I didn't believe in you or didn't like you, I wouldn't be coaching you. So this is actually an act of caring by saying, hey, you can do this better, or have you thought of it this way?
Sure.
And that's another way of caring.
If you could have seen me when I started, every one of you would be greatly encouraged. What am I saying? I'm saying very simply that it took a great amount of time, effort, energy, focus, concentration, commitment to become a great communicator. It's all uphill. Writing, it wasn't easy. Over 34 million books have been sold through my name and my writing. People say, wow, that's amazing, that's amazing. No, you got to understand, it was all uphill. My first book, Think on These Things, I talked about a little bit ago, 100 pages, 33 chapters. Do the math. That's 3 pages per chapter. It took me a year to write the book. I wasn't any good at it. The book's not any good. Don't buy the book. I had a lady the other day bought the book. She came up to me to sign it, and I was shocked. She said, I love the book. I said, you love the book? Why do you love that book? She said, I love the short chapters. She said, how did you ever think of writing short chapters? I said, lady, I wasn't any good. I ran out of gas after 3 pages. In fact, some of those chapters are 2 pages too long. It literally took me 5 books to learn how to write. Literally. And I mean, I took writing courses. I had writing mentoring. It took me 5 books before I said, oh, I can write. And it took me 11 books before I ever sold much. Now, it was a process. Now, I don't want you to miss this. Everything worthwhile is uphill. Nothing comes fast. Nothing comes easy. It's all uphill. It's okay. We're working on perspective here. The moment I believe and accept that everything worthwhile is uphill, guess what I do? I expect to walk uphill all the time. If I don't believe that, I expect it to be easy. I expect it to be average. I expect to coast some. You see, my perspective that it's uphill every day, all the way, is huge. We have John Maxwell Team. Okay, here's a perfect example of this. We got the John Maxwell Team, and we've had huge success with it. I mean, in what, 9.5 years, 33,000 members in almost every country of the world. And people look at that and they say, oh my gosh, John, this is huge. How did you get so good? How did you pull that off? It was uphill all the way. Now let me just stop for a moment and just say to you that I'm constantly asking myself, what can I do to add value to you? Because here's what I know. A crisis never leaves you or me the same. It moves us. It either moves us forward or it moves us backward. It either moves us upward or we go down. But it does move us. And we're saying, oh, I can hardly wait for things to get back to normal. I hear that all the time. Oh my gosh, won't you be glad when this is all over? And wow, things will become normal, and oh, this will be so good. Can I tell you something? They're never going to return back to normal. Not the normal that you and I know. Trust me. There's never going to be that normal again. It's just like 9/11. After 9/11, we didn't go back to normal. I mean, every day almost I'm reminded of 9/11 through something that you or I have to do just because of safety precautions. So Max Dupree, when he said the first responsibility of a leader is to define reality, the reality is very simple, and that is that normal is gone and there's going to be massive change. Well, if the first responsibility for me is to define reality to you, my second responsibility for you is to help you make positive changes.
Nope. You promote them because they're good. And everybody has to understand that you don't go to the next level. You got to grow to the next level. And what I would suggest, because you have still a beautiful but small organization, is I would suggest that you develop what I call a leadership table. And a leadership table is not an official position, but it's a possibility position. And what you do is you should at least have twice a month meetings at your leadership table where you bring people that are on your team that have no leadership positions, but you have leadership discussions. Because what I found is if you bring people to a leadership table and you discuss leadership things that you're thinking about in your business, you're going to find out very quickly those who lean into leadership and those who don't. And it's a great farm team way to begin finding who your potential leaders are that perhaps sometime need to go fill that higher position. And it's very non-threatening. In fact, what I suggest on it, Lillian, is that when you invite them to the leadership table, you just say, we're going to have a leadership discussion, and this may be the only time you come to the table. You don't set it up as you were doing this every couple weeks for you, because what you want to do is you want to keep the people at the leadership table that lean in, and you want to let the people that don't lean in, let them go back and help you in the business, but they're not going to do the leadership stuff. Because what you have to do is you have to discover. You have to discover who your leaders are, and you can discover them two ways. Have something like a form, like a leadership table, where you can begin to see if they have that natural leaning. And secondly, you've just got to let them go out and practice. How do you develop leaders? You practice leadership. And when you practice leadership, that is the indicator whether a person can lead or not. Let a person practice leadership for 3 months with a couple projects that you give them, and you're going to find out if they can produce or not. But I have never been in favor of you've held this position for a period of time, so you now can go into a senior leadership position. I think the only promotion that I ever do is they've got to produce. If they can produce, they get promoted, and if they can't produce, there may be some roles in the company that they can have, but certainly not leadership roles.
And if the expectation, you used that word, among the people in the organization is that if you've been there a while, you get promoted, that's your fault. You need to change the expectation. You need to announce pretty regularly that your raise is effective when you are. Yeah. You need to announce pretty regularly that people are promoted to leadership because they exhibit leadership skills, not because they breathe air and take up space. Yeah. Seniority gets you nothing, honey. Like the cereal, right?
And you just from the very beginning, you're with a guy who was a young developing leader, and you were trying to give and showed how much you cared. You always help value the person with you. The quote that you say that I like so much is, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Someone might say, well, leadership is business. You have to be business and to get results. You have to care about objectives more than people. How would you respond to that?
Well, my response would be that I think leaders get in trouble when they quit caring for their people. Mm-hmm. There's a very fine line, as you know, between manipulating people and motivating people. And I think manipulation is always wrong, because manipulation is where I move people for personal advantage. And so to me, that quote is so important because it's a safeguard. It's a safeguard in my life to keep me from crossing that line, which we all have crossed that line. I've crossed that line before, where all of a sudden I thought, no, wait a minute, I just led that meeting and I came out as the winner. I'm not sure they did, but I did. Mm-hmm. And when I say that leaders see more than others see and leaders see before others see, I can tell you, once you know that to be true, that puts a great responsibility on me as a leader to make sure that I never use that more and before for my advantage to the people's disadvantage. Mm-hmm. And so what's the balance? What's the checkmate on that? Well, it's very simple. You just care for people, love for people, and I say when you stop loving people, really do them a favor, stop leading them, mm-hmm. because the moment that I stop caring for you as a person, then I can promise you the motives of my leadership will go south very quick.
Right.
They just do.
What advice would you give, John, to someone who's maybe newer in their leadership and they say, okay, I do care for people, but I don't know how to express it. How does a caring leader show that she or he cares in a
great
leadership
question.
environment?
I always share that what you do, and this is by the way, that question you just asked is a very good question, because there are a lot of people who really do care, but they don't emote very well,
Right.
and they're not visual very well, and so it's not that they lack it, it's just that they have never been able to present it, and so what I always share with them is, if that's your situation, sit down with your people and say, now let me share with you the good news and the bad news. The good news is I really care for you, but let me tell you what the bad news is. I don't show it well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you know how I show it. I don't show it because I'm not bubbly and I'm not highly affirmative and I don't come around. I'm not like a cheerleader. But there are 2 or 3 things that I do that really show that I care for you. One is that I always respect you. And so you lay out whatever those things are and you just give them what I call those care markers. So that when they're following you, they don't need that emotional affirmation because they know that's not how you give it, but it doesn't matter because you've already shown them the way that you care. And I think that one of the greatest weaknesses that we have as leaders many times is that we take our areas that are difficult for us and we don't sit down with our people and say, no, this is very difficult for me. So I need you to help me. And I'm going to share with you why it's difficult. I'm going to share with you how you can understand it. And then I want you to also come in and say, John, maybe this would help. And would you help me? I think leadership, great leadership, always is vulnerable and open and willing to be improved, and has not only an open door policy, but has an open ear policy, an open heart policy. And I find people then migrate to that. I mean, all of a sudden they become your allies. They become.
If you have the privilege of leading a team or an organization, and you would love help with enhancing your leadership culture, maybe even developing some of your high potential leaders, just follow the link on the screen, and we would love to connect with you.
It's what do? We take the vision from me to we. The moment we get it, the moment as a leader, you are in a we situation on ideas, vision. You are cooking now because everybody will carry it. Everybody will walk out of that meeting now, and they'll carry it because people that own something carry it, and then they become contagious with it.
Yeah, we're aimed at something we all believe in, and we're not all trying to. The way we celebrate diversity at Ramsey is that the fact that you are different in some way gives you a unique insight into solving the problem that we're all here to solve. Period.
True. Very
not you are unique and you get to be treated special. No, we're all on a team. We're all blocking, we're all tackling, we're all throwing the ball, we're freaking scoring touchdowns to win the Super Bowl. If you're not participating in that, I don't really care about your opinion, because that's what we're doing.
In the 70s, it was Vietnam and the incredible bitter taste that we had over political manipulation. In the 80s, we had AIDS, that for 2 years we were just trying to identify a virus, and we also had economic recession back then. In the 1990s, remember Enron and corporate undoing, and we were just kind of had lost our way ethically in that whole process. 9/11, of course, and then the 2008 recession. Now, here's what I want you to know. When things get out of control, what leaders do is they try to help people get back into control of their lives. And how do I do that? As a leader, how do I help you get back into control of your life? Well, you can control your own personal decisions. And a decision that I would hope that you would make during this crisis is a decision to personally develop and grow yourself. You see, the only guarantee that tomorrow is going to be better than today is the fact that I'm growing and I'm developing myself. I'm 73, but I'm so excited about my future because to me, I'm continually learning, I'm continually growing. There is no finish line in my life. And so how do we continue to grow? How do we continue improving ourselves? After the 2008 financial recession, I began to ask myself, how do I help other people? And I came to the conclusion back then that I was going to start the John Maxwell team. I didn't need another business. I already was quite successful in life. I had basically everything I wanted in my life. But I said, what would happen if I took people that wanted to better themselves? What would happen if I took people who wanted to better themselves? And what they need is they need good training. They need some people to good mentoring. And then what they need is somebody to put their good housekeeping seal of approval on them and say, hey, look, this person's a good person. And give them an opportunity and give them a chance. So that's why I started the John Maxwell team. And we have basically 5 lanes. We have the leadership lane. We have the entrepreneurship lane. We got the sales lane. We got the coaching lane. We got the speaking lane. And what we knew is if we could teach you these 5 lanes, you're going to find out which lane you best identify with, but we can greatly improve your life. So then I got a dream team. I got my faculty together, and I got people that were highly successful. I mean, people that were doing it now, not people who had done it or had never done it and were, quote, professors, but people that were right in the action. They knew how to build a business, and they knew how to be successful with their life. And so I brought a faculty on, and then I said, I'm going to certify people. I'm going to put the John Maxwell, seal of approval on them, and I'm going to certify them after they go through this certification process. And with that, I'm going to give them credibility. I'm going to give them opportunity. And I can tell you today, we're 33,000 coaches around the world, and I can tell you my greatest joy is everywhere I travel, internationally, nationally, everywhere I travel. Here's what happens. I see John Maxwell team members totally fulfilled because now they have a purpose and mission in life, and that is to add value to people. Because John Maxwell team members, we tell them all the time, we are people of value who value people and add value to people. So just I'm going to go to the next perspective in just a moment, but just a few questions. Questions such as, do you want to take adversity and turn it around and make, an advantage, an opportunity out of it?
And I asked him to explain that. He said, it's just very simple. He said, never assume, never assume, which is kind of like the mother of all leadership mess ups. Just so be vulnerable, ask questions, find out where they are, help them find out where you are, and then take off together.
I'm excited to ask you about this next quote of yours because we have a lot of listeners that ask questions that are very related to this one. You've said leaders must be close enough to relate to others, but far enough ahead to motivate them. And so I want to ask you about both sides of that coin. On the close enough to relate, can you first of all describe that? And then I want to try to get into your mind and ask honestly, is there such thing as too close? Can you share too much?
Yes. That's a great question. When you talk about leading by example and being in front of them, but being close enough to relate to them, I always tell leaders, close comes first. Close comes first. I want friends. I don't want fans. Mm-hmm. And if I want friends, then I have to walk with them. And I want to walk with them. And so until I can make a connection with you, and until you can know that my connection is sincere, I will impress you, but I won't impact you. We impact people close up. We impress people far away. And so I always tell leaders, start with close. And the reason you start with close is because young leaders aren't good enough to be far ahead yet. In fact, when I was a young leader, I wasn't ahead of anybody. Everybody was ahead of me. I was 22 years of age when I had my first leadership responsibility, and everybody in my group, they were already ahead of me. So I never knew what it was. It took me a long time before I knew what it was like to be out front. But it didn't take a long time for me to connect with the people and know that I really cared. And so my leadership in the beginning was really a caring connection more than a competence connection. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, if you don't develop that competence and get far out in front of them, then after a while, they're going to say, I have a great friend, but I don't have a leader.
Right.
And I have a lot of wonderful friends. I'm just not going to follow them. But I mean, they're just terrific friends. So I think the caring comes first because that's the heart. And, people touch your heart before they ask for a hand. Mm-hmm. So I think that comes first. And then, obviously, you've got to grow into your leadership. But if the people care for you and you care for them, they'll give you space. They'll give you time. They'll let you mess up. They're your ally. Again, I tell leaders all the time, the greatest thing you could have is have the people that you love you, and always be there to help you.
Imagine this. So imagine I'm a young leader, or I'm starting my leadership, and I care about people. And I've got a team of 4, 5, 6, 7 people, and they know I care. And then I see more and I see before, and so I
Yes.
get out ahead of them and we cast vision and we grow together something special. Now I've got 70 people, and then one day 700. How do you communicate care to those people when there's too many? You may not even know all their names.
Yes. Well, first of all, Andy Stanley, our friend, says, do for one what you wish you could do for many.
Right.
And I think that's a terrific principle in itself. But what I have always felt is this. I think unconditional love can be for everyone, but I don't think you can give everyone equal time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I share with my people, you don't have to earn my love. I give that to you unconditionally. But you do have to earn my time. And so there is where I began to distinguish the people that I want to develop and that I want them to move further, is by saying, the way that I will give you that time is for you to show me that you are paying the price for it, that you're up for it. It's John Wooden who would tell his ball players, don't tell me what you're going to do, show me what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. And so the moment I start going out in front, it's basically, who's going to show me they want to be out front with me? And if you come out front with me, then you're going to have a little bit more of my time. And so I think caring for people is for everyone, but I think as far as leading and developing people, that's for someone. I think not everyone wants that kind of development, and not everyone works for that kind of development. Mm-hmm. So I think you have to be real clear. It's kind of like upfront expectations. I think that's what's important in leadership. And that you don't want to be that, mm-hmm. but you do want to be replaceable. And there's a different there's a difference. If you're irrelevant, of course, you're going to be doing things that people don't even care about, and so you're going to lose your business very quick. But you also want to be able to build. You need to build team members, and I would suggest to you, because you're young and you're not experienced in this area, that you do this slowly and you do it individually. What I did when I was young, before I really knew how to build a team, is I spent concentrated specific time with a player on my team. And I shared with them things that I was doing, and we did it together. And it was, it would sometimes be a 2 or 3 month process. And I would watch them. It was kind of like, I do it, and you watch me. Now I'm going to watch you, and you're going to do it. And then I'm going to have you do it. I'm going to have you do it. And then, but if you really want to build a company, you go to step 4, which most people never do in an equipping process. It really, you go to, I do it. First of all, you have to be able to do it well. If you cannot give to other people something to do that you're bad at yourself. That's why I've never understood people in training that can't do the job, training people how to do the job. So I do it, then I do it.
And those that can't do shouldn't teach.
Yeah. But you see it all the time. You see people training, Dave, that they're not successful in themselves. So I do it, but then I do it and you're with me. That's the power of proximity. Then you do it and I'm with you. Now we're coaching. Then you do it. I want to see you do it alone, but that isn't the end. And then you do it, and somebody is with you. Multiplication of leaders is in that last step of you do it and somebody's with you. And I would suggest you do it this way because you don't have a lot of experience yet in empowering and delegating and equipping people. And this, I think, is the best way for you to know if you're doing it right or not. And you're going to find that out because let's say you spend a year and you've done 3 or 4 people and you find they're doing really well, then you're saying, I have a system that works.
I feel cared for by someone else when they do correct me and help me become better.
And I love you bringing that point out. And here's why, Craig. I think if I am not open for correction in my own life, then it's a very difficult thing for me to turn around and do it to others. Right. I think teachability starts at the top. And when I walk into a room, into any meeting as a founder, leader, it doesn't really matter. I can tell my team, and they know right off, the best idea when we walk out of here is the one that's going to win. Mm-hmm. Not my idea, the best idea. And I think creating that kind of an environment is very healthy.
I'm excited to hear your response to this quote. It's one of my favorite quotes of yours. You say, you'll never change your life until you change what you do daily.
Yes.
The secret of your success is determined by your daily agenda. I'd love to know, what do you do daily that helps you impact lives and build your organization the way you do? What are some of your daily disciplines that are most helpful?
Well, I love that question. And I do believe this. I believe that we overestimate what we can do tomorrow.
Right.
And I think we over-exaggerate what we did yesterday. And I think, especially when you're old like me, you sit there and, the good old days. So I don't think the good old days were always that good. You know what I mean? But I do think, in fact, I know, we underestimate today. Mm-hmm. And it's the only moment I have. All I have is now. The only time I have. And that's why I tell people consistently, you have to live in the present. Be there. Be present. Whatever you're doing, do it well right now. So in my disciplines to make the day count, I have my spiritual disciplines of things that I do in my faith walk that I do on a daily basis. I pray scripture. I have my writing disciplines. I write always in the morning. In fact, one of my disciplines is that basically I don't meet with anybody until noon, because I'm a morning person. I get up around 4:30 in the morning, and from 4:30 till about 10:30, 11, I am cooking. I mean, that's when I think best. That's when I write best. And I learned a long time ago. Now, you may be a night person, so you might flip that. But whenever you're at your best mentally, physically, that's when you ought to be doing your most important things and making that really count right then. But who was it? I think Joe Frazier, the boxing champion, said that when you get into the ring, it shows up if you practiced or not, and if you worked out. And what we do in secret will be revealed in public, right. And it's only a matter of time. And one other quick thought on this is, I think that consistency is such an incredible asset to people that is totally underappreciated. Because consistency compounds. I'm 73, and I can tell you right now, the consistency of my life now is bringing fruit to my life that I'm surprised, and I think, how is this happening? But it's because of this continual day in, day out, teaching leadership to so many people. And after a while, all of a sudden, this return comes back that I would have never anticipated. So today, which we say is just today, doesn't seem so great. Several todays consistently done with the right reasons and the right priorities. One day shows up. And, hey, today, Sunday becomes what a day. Right. It comes, oh my gosh, what a day we've got here. Well, that day out there that we graduate from college, or we get the promotion, that, when somebody graduates from college, everybody's congratulating them. Well, they didn't become successful when they got their diploma. They became successful when they enrolled in college, and when they studied for the test, and when they went to class. I mean, right. They're already successful. And I think sometimes we confuse success, which is required of us on a daily basis, with recognition of success. Right. Which that doesn't happen till someplace back there. We weren't that good when we got recognized, and we weren't that bad when we did the routine stuff that we needed to do to get recognized. Yeah.
If you're like me, you watch a video like that from Maxwell Leadership and you just get inspired. I love how it's so practical. It just makes a lot of sense. But here's the challenge. We have to commit to each other. We have to commit to change, both in our personal lives and also our professional lives. Looking for more information about the Maxwell Leadership Certified Team? Follow the link below to learn more. We can't wait to hear from you and add value to your lives.